The MP5 is one of the most recognizable and popular family of SMGs that has ever been created, and throughout its popularity in the late 20th century, even into the early 21st century, it has continued to be used by militaries and police departments around the globe. However, in the last few years, they have kind of died out in popularity in airsoft. And today, I want to take a look at some of the reasons why and see if they'll ever be able to come back from these losses. So today I have with me the ICS MP5SD, and this isn't a review of this gun. However, if you're curious about its performance, it's bad. However, looking for an MP5SD, it really made me realize just how hard these things are getting to find in the US. I mean, if you're overseas in a place like Asia or Europe, it may be a little bit easier for you. However, here in the US, getting MP5s is kind of difficult. It seems like the only MP5s that are readily available are the ones by Umarex, which are made by VFC and distributed through Elite Force. And that's because of Umarex's intellectual property and copyright deals with H&K, because if you're unfamiliar, this is the same reason why it's hard to get Glocks, because Glock hasn't given anyone permission to make airsoft guns with the Glock frame and the Glock slide. So any Glock that is here in the US is technically against the law, and Glock would like to see it destroyed, not sold. So H&K did something a little bit different, where they granted companies the rights to use their designs, like this MP5, a 416, a G28, any H&K gun, any of their pistols. And the deal is that the company, which is Umarex, pays them to be able to use these external features, and then they also pay a small fee for every time that these guns are sold. So H&K makes a little bit of money off of it, and we as airsofters get a little bit more variety. However, Glock doesn't want that. So that's part of the reason why it's hard to find MP5s here in the US. You can only find the ones by Umarex because those are the only ones that are technically allowed, I guess you could say, to be here. So in the US, the market for these has kind of dried up. And the only ones that Elite Force offer at the moment are just your standard MP5A4s. They don't offer an SD, they don't offer the MP5K anymore, which is a little bit disappointing because if there's less options, then less people are going to want to pick these up. And the ones by VFC, from what I've seen, they're not VFC's best work. They have pretty awful trigger response, even on LiPos, and I mean, they could be better. But, I mean, because these aren't the most popular right now, why should VFC, Elite Force, and Umarex put more money into making them better? Is probably what they're thinking if they're not popular. And they're kind of a beginner gun right now, like a beginner's VFC, I guess you could say. So I think that part of the reason why these are so hard to find and why people aren't really picking these up anymore are, one, the selection's pretty low, at least here in the US, and there isn't really a lot of customization you can do with an MP5. So you have your standard MP5 platforms, so you have the MP5A4, I believe they still make A3s, you have the SD here, and then you have the MP5K, which is the really tiny one. And I mean, just looking at this, there isn't much that you can do to it. Can't change the suppressor. You can add a rail up here for optics or things like that. However, they don't make rails for MP5 SDs. What a lot of people overseas did is they would actually, I believe they use zip ties. They would take, if you've ever seen the classic 7-inch Knights Armament rail, they'd take the bottom part out and kind of zip tie that to the receiver here to allow you to have a foregrip. If I have any photos of it, I will definitely put it on screen right now. But other than that, I mean, pistol grip is built into the receiver. And the stock, you can either get full stock like this or one of the telescoping stocks. Excuse me, that's my personal favorite. But I mean, there isn't much customization to do to this. And as you've probably figured out, airsofters are special snowflakes. That's why we have guys in Tropentarn or Oscam with their cries and weird combinations like that. So airsofters and just people in general like variety because it makes them think that they have more choices and more ways to customize their gun, and when they don't have that, I can see them being swayed away. And while we're talking about airsoft guns and the stuff you can put on them, even in the military, the AR platform has really taken over, and in airsoft in the last few years, we've seen more smaller AR builds. We've seen a lot more companies offer Mark 18s and 416s. We see people offering LVOA knockoff rails, and we see people offering a lot more stubby guns as well, which kind of takes over the place of an SMG because as we all know in airsoft, everyone shoots 6mm caseless, so the ballistics of your BB don't really matter. The projectile you're firing is the same for everyone, at least size-wise. So, I mean, there's no real advantage in airsoft to be using a 9mm or a 5.56 or a 7.62 replica because they all do the same. So if you can get a stubby AR, which again, the ballistics don't really matter, and because there's a lot more parts and customization for ARs than there are for MP5s, why wouldn't you go with an AR? This has really become a specialist gun, and the only reason I was ever looking to get this is just because I was looking to imitate a build done by Navy SEALs with an MP5 SD, and that's just because I'm an impressionist. However, the entirety of the airsoft community isn't looking to do a old school DevGru impression, so this is a really specialized gun, and I feel like part of the reason why this has been eclipsed is because of how popular the M4 and AR platform have become in airsoft and the amount of parts that you can get to make a really stubby gun. I mean, you can make AR pistols and things like that. Now, a lot of companies all from stock, so I mean, there's like the Crytek PDW, I believe G&G makes a bunch of them. I wouldn't be surprised if VFC does. I mean, there's just a ton of companies that are making AR pistols in really small ARs, so why wouldn't you want to pick up one of those? I mean, they have better mags. MP5 mags are kind of iffy, especially their high caps. So there's such a part community. You can get so many parts for M4s. Why wouldn't you want to go with that over something like this, where not much customization, not many parts? I mean, this does take a standard gearbox, but there's just more customization with ARs. And I know I'm kind of talking about these guns like they're a dying breed, and I feel like they are. However, there could be somewhat of a comeback. Elite Force, just released a video yesterday of a prototype gun that they have, which is a Elite Force MP5 SD, and oh my god, I cannot tell you how excited I was for that, because I like these guns. They're different, which again, going back to the little special snowflake thing, they're different, they're just enjoyable to me. And I like having a lighter kit. I like having lighter things. I can carry more magazines because again, these are based off a 9mm platform. But anyways, Elite Force showed a video of a prototype MP5 SD, which could mean that they're investing more time into their MP5 line of airsoft guns. I would absolutely love to see Elite Force offer either new varieties, because all we saw was the MP5 SD. Maybe they'll release the MP5K. Elite Force really is trying to up their game with a lot more than just their ARs, because they do make good M4s. They have their CQC series, they have the Avalons now, they have the other H&K guns made by VFC and KWA. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with these, because they did recently do a upgrade for their H&K UMP, and again with the release of the MP5 SD somewhat in the near future. If they're talking about it now, it might come out for the holidays. That's my personal guess. I could be wrong, but maybe they'll release new models, but who knows? Only Elite Force does. I want to know what you guys think of MP5s in airsoft. Do you think that they are as dying as I am? And if you're someone who's from a different country than the United States, how popular are MP5s, especially those of you who live near H&K in Germany? I would love to know what you guys think of MP5s and their kind of descent into obscurity down in the comments below. If this was your first time here, I would love to have you subscribe for more airsofting content every Tuesday and Friday here on the channel to help you have a better time both on and off the airsofting field. Hit that subscribe button down below, and while you're down there, hit the bell icon next to it for updates when we post our new videos. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on social media. Links will be down right below that subscribe button, where you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for cool BB War stuff. This has been Lane from the BB Warrior, talking about the future of the MP5 platform in airsoft and how it really is dying, but it could possibly be saved. And I will see you all next time.